Look, I have been doing this job for 17 cycles now. 17 cycles of watching fighters from across the galaxy step into the Meridian combat arena, and I thought I had seen everything. Every type of warrior, every fighting style, every species with their unique biological advantages and their predictable strategies. Then this human showed up. My name is Vrix, and I am what you would call a sports commentator, analyst, and occasionally a babysitter for overly aggressive contestants who think biting is a legitimate combat technique. I work for the Galactic Combat Federation. The GCF runs the most prestigious fighting tournament in known space. We have had Krellian berserkers who can regenerate limbs in seconds. We have had Thaxian monks who can phase through solid matter. We have had a Gorvach heavyweight champion who once punched a hole through a reinforced titanium wall just to prove a point during a press conference. But this human? Marcus Webb? He was something else entirely. The first time I saw him, I was not impressed. Humans are not exactly known for their combat prowess in the galactic community. Sure, they have that whole endurance thing going for them, and yes, their capacity for strategic thinking is admirable. But in a tournament where you are facing opponents who can breathe fire, grow extra limbs, or literally turn their skin into organic armor, humans usually tap out in the preliminary rounds. Marcus walked into the registration hall on day one, and he looked average. Maybe a bit above average by human standards. Roughly 1.8 meters tall, lean build, dark hair cropped short, and these strange gray eyes that seemed to calculate everything around him. No cybernetic enhancements visible, no exotic weaponry, no power armor. Just a worn duffel bag slung over his shoulder and an expression that suggested he had seen this all before and was mildly bored by it. Another human? My co-commentator, this, clicked her mandibles in what I recognized as her version of a sigh. This is Exelteran, six-limbed, brilliant green exoskeleton, compound eyes that can process visual information faster than most supercomputers. She has been in this business even longer than I have. They never learn, do they? Remember that one from 3 cycles ago? What was his name? Jackson, I said. Lasted 47 seconds against a Brencor fighter in the first elimination round. 47 seconds, this is repeated, her translator adding a layer of resigned disappointment to her natural chittering. And that Brencor was ranked 208th. This is going to be painful to watch. Registration proceeded as normal. Marcus filled out his forms, submitted his medical data, went through the standard biological scans. The techs ran their tests, verified he was not enhanced beyond legal limits, and cleared him for competition. Standard procedure. Boring, really. Then came the training week. Every competitor gets 7 days before the tournament officially begins. 7 days to acclimate to the arena's gravity, study their potential opponents, and train. Most fighters use this time to spar with partners, review footage of past matches, or meditate in whatever way their species does meditation. Marcus Webb went to the pain simulation chamber. Now, the pain simulation chamber is not exactly a secret, but it is not popular either. The technology allows you to experience varying levels of pain without actual physical damage. It was originally developed for medical training, helping doctors understand what their patients feel. Some athletes use it to build mental resilience. But here is the thing: most beings avoid pain. It is biology. It is psychology. Pain tells you something is wrong. Pain tells you to stop. Humans, apparently, did not get that memo. I first noticed Marcus heading to the chamber on day 2. I was reviewing footage in the media center when one of our junior analysts, a floating blob of sentient gas named Whirl, drifted over. "Breeks," Whirl said, his voice synthesizer crackling slightly. "You need to see this." He pulled up the live feed from Simulation Chamber 7. There was Marcus, standing in the center of the room, wearing nothing but basic training gear. The chamber operator, a Delthian tech with 4 eyes and perpetual look of concern, was checking the settings. "He is requesting level 8? The tech asked, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence. which is Delthian for extreme confusion. Level 8 to start, Marcus confirmed, his voice flat, matter of fact. We will escalate from there. Sir, level 8 is. That is equivalent to having your arm broken in 3 places simultaneously. Most trainees start at level 2 or 3. Level 8, Marcus repeated. There was no bravado in his voice. No machismo. He stated it the way you might order coffee. Please! The tech looked at the supervisor. The supervisor, a veteran Corvian named Mecht, shrugged his 4 shoulders. His funeral. Run the program. What happened next was educational. The simulation activated. I have access to the biometric data, so I could see exactly what Marcus was experiencing. Level 8 pain. His neural receptors firing like a solar flare. His brain being told that something catastrophic was happening to his body. And Marcus? Marcus stood there, his jaw clenched, sweat beaded on his forehead. His hands curled into fists so tight his knuckles went white. But he stood there. For 5 minutes. Then 10. Then 15. What is he doing? This had joined me, along with several other commentators and analysts. Word spreads fast in the arena complex when something weird is happening. I think, I said slowly, he is training his pain tolerance. That is insane, someone muttered. Marcus finally signaled for the simulation to end. He staggered slightly, caught himself, took 3 deep breaths, and then said, again, level 9 this time. Level 9 is, the tech started. I know what level 9 is, Marcus interrupted, not rudely, just stating a fact. Let's go. Let's go. This pattern continued for 3 hours. 3 hours of progressively increasing pain simulations. By the end, Marcus was running level 12, which, according to the medical database, is equivalent to being burned alive while simultaneously having every bone in your body fractured. He lasted 2 minutes at level 12 before signaling stop. Then he calmly thanked the chamber operator, grabbed his water bottle, and left. Okay, this said, her translator struggling to capture her tone, that was. What was that? I had no answer. Day 3. Marcus returned to the pain chamber. Another 3-hour session. Day 4, same thing. By day 5, the entire media contingent was watching. It became our weird little ritual. We would gather around the monitors during our breaks and watch this human voluntarily torture himself. Why? World kept asking. What possible advantage does this provide? I started doing some research. Pulled up everything I could find on human psychology, human combat sports, human military training. And slowly, a picture began to form. Humans have this concept called mental fortitude, the ability to continue functioning when your body is screaming at you to quit. Most species have some version of this, but humans take it to an extreme. They have these sayings. Pain is temporary. Embrace the suck. What does not kill you makes you stronger. They are insane, yes, but there is method to the insanity. On day 6, I decided to interview him. Professional curiosity, you understand. I caught him leaving the training complex, still sweating from what I assumed was another pain chamber session. Marcus Webb, I called out, my translator rendering my name and credentials. Vrix Talborn, GCF primary commentator. Do you have a moment? He stopped, evaluated me with those calculating gray eyes, and nodded. Sure. I have been watching your training regimen, I said, deciding directness was the best approach. The pain simulations. Can you explain your strategy? Marcus took a drink from his water bottle, considering his answer. Most fighters train to win, he said finally. They practice techniques, build strength, increase speed. All good things. But here is the problem. Everyone in this tournament is good. Everyone is strong and fast and skilled. So what happens when you meet someone just as good as you? Someone who matches you technique for technique? The fight becomes about who wants it more, I suggested. No, Marcus shook his head. The fight becomes about who can endure more, who can take damage and keep functioning, who can feel their ribs break and still throw the next punch. Pain is the great equalizer, Breaks. It makes you stupid. It makes you slow. It makes you quit. Unless you train yourself not to listen to it. So you are training your pain tolerance. I am training my brain to ignore irrelevant information, he corrected. Pain tells you something is wrong. But in a fight? I already know something is wrong. I am in a fight. The pain is not giving me new information. It is just noise. So I am teaching myself to filter the noise. I stared at him. This was not normal fighter psychology. You are not training to win, I said slowly, the realization hitting me. You are training to not lose. Marcus smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. If I can take more damage than my opponent can deal, and I can keep fighting when they expect me to quit, then, yeah, I will not lose. Victory is just what happens when the other guy stops and I do not. He walked away, leaving me standing there with a completely new perspective on human combat philosophy. Tournament Day 1 arrived with the usual fanfare, opening ceremonies, speeches from GCF officials, introduction of the 412 competitors who had qualified for the main event. The arena was packed. Beings from across the galaxy filled the stands, all eager to watch the best fighters test themselves against each other. The tournament format is straightforward, single elimination, randomized brackets. You fight, you win, you advance. You lose, you go home. Simple and brutal. Marcus drew a Thoraxian fighter named Grohl for his first match. Grohl stood nearly 3 meters tall, had 4 arms, each capable of crushing steel, and skin that could harden to stone-like density on command. He was ranked 41st overall, a solid mid-tier competitor with genuine chances of making the quarterfinals. The betting pools gave Marcus a 3% chance of winning. This is going to be a massacre, this said as we prepared for the broadcast. Should we even bother with extended coverage? Standard protocol, I replied, but I was curious. I had watched Marcus train. I had spoken with him. I wanted to see if his pain tolerance strategy would actually work, or if it was just the delusion of a species that had not yet learned their limitations. The match began. Grohl came out aggressive as Thoraxians do, 4 arms moving in coordinated patterns, each strike carrying enough force to shatter bones. Marcus dodged the first combination, slipped the second, and then he did something unexpected. He stopped dodging. Grohl's third punch caught Marcus clean on the ribs. I heard the crack even through the audio feed. The crowd made that collective intake of breath that happens when someone takes a devastating hit. Marcus staggered, grabbed his side, and smiled. Then he stepped forward and counter-punched. Did he just take that hit deliberately? This sounded genuinely confused. I think he is testing something, I said. The fight continued. Grohl was stronger, no question. Faster too. But every time he landed a solid hit, every time he should have pressed his advantage, Marcus did something that threw off the rhythm. He would take the hit, absorb the pain, and immediately respond with an attack aimed at Grohl's joints, his eyes, his throat. Targets that hurt, regardless of how tough your skin was. 5 minutes in, Grohl was frustrated. You could see it in his stance, his breathing. He was landing hits that should end fights. Marcus's nose was broken. His left eye was swelling shut. He was definitely moving with at least 2 cracked ribs, but Marcus kept coming. 10 minutes in, Grohl made a mistake. He overextended on a 4-arm combination, putting too much force into it, expecting Marcus to finally drop. Marcus ducked under the strike, stepped inside Grohl's guard, and drove his elbow into the Thoraxian's throat. Not a killing blow, the safety fields prevent that, but enough to crush the windpipe. Grohl went down, gasping. The referee called the match. Marcus Webb had won. The arena was silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then the noise hit. Cheering, booing, confused chittering and roaring and whatever sounds different species make when they cannot believe what they just witnessed. I sat at my commentator desk, reviewing the footage, trying to formulate words. "He won by being too stubborn to quit," this has finally said. "No," I corrected, watching Marcus limp out of the arena, waving off the medical team. "He won because he trained for exactly this scenario. He knew he could not outfight Grohl in a straight technical match, so he turned it into an endurance contest, and a pain tolerance contest, and humans apparently have a biological advantage in that specific area that we have been underestimating." Day 2 brought Marcus against a Vexian striker named Kress. Vexians have 6 limbs and can rotate their joints in ways that make their attacks nearly impossible to predict. Kress was ranked 29th. The betting pools gave Marcus an 8% chance. Marcus won in 7 minutes by letting Kress break his left arm, then using the broken arm as a distraction to land a headbutt that knocked the Vexian unconscious. "That is not normal," Whirl said, watching the replay. "That is genuinely disturbing." Day 4. Marcus versus a Hrenkor grappler named Thun. Hrenkor have acid for blood and can secrete it through their skin as a defense mechanism. It burns. It burns badly. Marcus spent the entire 12-minute match with chemical burns developing on his arms and neck, and still managed to choke Thun out with a submission hold that should have been impossible to maintain given the pain he was experiencing. Betting pools, 14% chance. Actual result, Marcus advances. By the quarterfinals, people were paying attention. Real attention. The human who would not quit. The fighter who seemed to get stronger the more damage he took. The comments and speculation were flying across the galactic networks. Some called him inspirational. Some called him insane. Some, mostly other humans in the audience, were chanting something that my translator struggled with. It sounded like "not done yet, not done yet." Marcus drew Sci-Fi for the quarterfinal match. Sci-Fi was a psychonic, ranked 7th overall, and this is where I thought the human's run would end. Psychonics can manipulate neural pathways. They can make you feel pain without touching you. They can shut down your motor functions with a thought. They are, effectively, the perfect counter to someone whose entire strategy revolves around pain tolerance. "Well," I said during the pre-match coverage, "it has been an impressive run for Marcus Webb. But I do not see how he overcomes this particular challenge. Sci-Fi can literally create pain directly in his brain, bypassing all physical conditioning. Never count out a human who has convinced himself he can win," this said. She had become weirdly supportive of Marcus over the past week. They are a stubborn species. The match began. Sci-Fi opened with a psychic assault that should have dropped Marcus instantly. I saw his entire body lock up, saw every muscle go rigid, saw his face contort in agony. Then he took a step forward. Sci-Fi increased the intensity. Marcus's nose started bleeding. His eyes were bloodshot. But he took another step, then another. "This is impossible," the psychonic gasped, her melodic voice carrying across the arena. "How are you still moving?" Marcus did not answer with words. He could not. His jaw was clenched too tight. But he kept walking, one agonizing step at a time, closing the distance between them. Sci-Fi panicked, dropped the psychic attack and tried to run. But she had spent all her energy on the mental assault. She was exhausted. Marcus, bleeding from his nose and ears, grabbed her and applied a chokehold. She tapped out in seconds. The crowd lost their minds. "Explain to me," I said to no one in particular, "how that just happened." The medical team rushed Marcus immediately after the match. His brain scans showed activity patterns that made the doctors very nervous. Apparently, he had pushed himself to the edge of a neural seizure. "You need to withdraw," the chief medical officer told him. A Corellian doctor named Yunt who had seen every injury imaginable. Another match like that could cause permanent damage. "Will I recover for the semi-final match tomorrow?" Marcus asked. "Probably," But that is not the point. The point is, "Then I will be there," Marcus said simply. "Thank you for the medical attention." He walked out, leaving a very frustrated medical team behind. I caught up with him in the corridor. "You trained for pain," I said without preamble. "But that match, that was not just pain tolerance. That was something else." Marcus leaned against the wall, exhausted. "I did not train to ignore pain, Vrix. I trained to recontextualize it. My brain still feels everything, still processes all the signals, but I have spent weeks teaching it that pain is just information, just data. And data can be deprioritized when you have a more important task." Walking forward, he confirmed. "Sila was trying to stop me with information. But I have very good information filters now. You are going to get yourself killed." "Maybe," he acknowledged. "But not tomorrow. Tomorrow I am going to the semi-finals." He walked away again, and I realized something. I was invested now. I wanted to see how far this human could push himself, how much pain he could endure, whether his insane strategy would actually carry him to a championship. The semi-final bracket was announced that evening. Marcus would face Corvin the Unbreakable, a Dravoxian combat cyborg ranked 3rd in the galaxy. Corvin had won the tournament twice before. He had never been knocked down, never been submitted, never even appeared to be in trouble during a match. "Well," Thesis said, reviewing the matchup, "at least Marcus made it further than anyone expected." I looked at the footage of Marcus training, day after day in the pain chamber, pushing himself beyond what any reasonable being would consider sane. "Do not count him out yet," I said. "Humans are full of surprises." The semi-final match was scheduled for tomorrow. The entire galaxy would be watching. And I had a feeling we were all about to learn something new about what humans are capable of when they decide that pain is just noise and victory is simply refusing to quit. The morning of the semi-final match, I did something I had never done before in 17 cycles of covering this tournament. I went to see Marcus in his preparation room. Where professional objectivity be damned. I needed to understand what drove this human to push himself to such extremes. I found him sitting on a bench, wrapping his hands. His face was a canvas of bruises. His left eye was still partially swollen from the Thoraxian fight 3 days ago. The medical team had cleared him for competition, but barely. His ribs were taped. His broken arm had been regenerated using our advanced medical technology, but the new bone was still settling. By all reasonable standards, he should be resting for a month, not preparing for a fight against one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. "Vrix," he acknowledged without looking up. "Come to talk me out of this." "Would it work?" I asked. "No." Then I came to ask you a question." I settled my bulk onto a bench across from him. "My species, the Talvorn, are not small. We stand roughly 2.3 meters tall with dense muscle structure. I have sparred enough to know what real combat feels like. Why are you doing this? And I do not mean the tournament. I mean this specific approach. You are letting yourself get hurt. Badly. There are humans who fight with more traditional defensive strategies. Why choose pain?" Marcus finished wrapping his left hand, flexed his fingers, testing the tightness. "You know what the worst feeling in the world is, Vrix?" "Pain?" I guessed. "Helplessness," he corrected. "Pain is temporary. Pain fades. Pain heals. But that moment when you realize you have no control over what happens to you, that feeling stays with you forever." He looked up at me, and those gray eyes held something I had not seen before, at depth. "History. I grew up on a colony world called Tarragon 6. Nice place. Quiet. Then the Vrel Syndicate decided they wanted our mining rights. They came with ships, with weapons. My family, my neighbors. We had nothing. No military. No defenses. We were helpless. I watched people I loved die because we could not fight back. Because when pain came, when fear came, we folded." He stood up, started his warm-up routine. Basic stretches, nothing fancy. After that, I promised myself I would never be helpless again. Never let pain stop me. Never let fear control me. So I joined the Colonial Defense Force, trained with the hardest instructors I could find. Pushed myself until I understood something important. What? I asked. Control is an illusion, Marcus said. You cannot control what happens to you in a fight. You cannot control how much stronger your opponent is, or how skilled they are, or what advantages they have. But you can control one thing. He tapped his temple. How you respond. Pain is your body trying to make you quit. Fear is your mind trying to protect you. But if you can train yourself to acknowledge those signals without obeying them, then you are never helpless. You always have a choice. You keep fighting or stop fighting, and I choose to keep fighting. I sat there, processing this. It was not about winning. It never had been. It was about agency, about proving that no matter what the universe threw at him, he could decide how to respond. Corvin is going to hurt you worse than anyone yet, I said quietly. Probably, Marcus agreed. But he cannot make me quit. Only I can make that choice. The arena was packed to capacity, standing room only. Beings from every corner of the galaxy pressed together to watch this match. The human who would not quit versus the cyborg who could not be beaten. This and I took our positions at the commentary booth. The energy in the arena was electric, nervous, excited. I have covered 347 matches in this tournament over the years, this said, her translator capturing an unusual tremor in her voice. I have never felt anticipation like this. Marcus has changed the narrative, I replied. This is not just about who is stronger or faster anymore. This is about willpower, about the limits of endurance. People are not here to see a fight. They are here to see if the human can survive. Corvin entered first. 3 meters of enhanced muscle and reinforced skeleton, and his cybernetic upgrades were top tier, military grade. His arms could punch through starship hulls. His reaction time was measured in microseconds. His pain receptors had been completely removed during his conversion process. He felt nothing. No pain, no fear, no doubt. Marcus entered second, looking almost fragile in comparison. The crowd noise shifted. Humans in the audience started that chant again. Not done yet, not done yet, not done yet. The referee, a neutral Corthan arbiter, reviewed the rules. Standard tournament regulations. Fight until submission, knockout, or stoppage. The safety fields would prevent death, but everything short of that was allowed. The bell rang. Corvin moved with terrifying speed for something so large. His first punch would have decapitated a normal human. Marcus barely managed to slip it, the fist passing centimeters from his head. The sonic boom from the missed strike rattled the safety barrier. Okay, I said into my microphone, trying to maintain professional composure. Corvin is not playing around. That opening strike was faster than anything we saw in his quarter-final match. Marcus tried to circle, create distance. Corvin cut him off effortlessly. Another combination, fists moving like pistons. Marcus blocked the first 2 strikes, and I saw his forearms buckle from the impact. The third caught him in the ribs, the same ribs that were already damaged. Marcus went down. The crowd went silent. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Marcus got back up. This is going to be brutal, this whispered. She was right. For the next 8 minutes, I watched Corvin systematically dismantle Marcus' web. Every defensive technique Marcus tried, Corvin had a counter. But every attempt to create space, Corvin shut down. The cyborg was not just stronger and faster. He was smarter, more experienced, better. Marcus's nose was rebroken, his left cheekbone fractured. His ribs, already damaged, took hit after hit after hit. Blood ran from cuts above both eyes, and he kept getting up. Every time Corvin knocked him down, Marcus stood. Every time a strike should have ended the fight, Marcus absorbed it and kept moving. Not gracefully, not skillfully, just stubbornly. Why is the referee not stopping this? Someone in the press box shouted. Because Marcus has not quit, I replied. He is still defending himself, still attempting to fight back. Barely, but enough to meet the technical requirements. 10 minutes in, something changed. Corvin landed a spinning back fist that should have knocked Marcus unconscious. Marcus's head snapped to the side. He staggered, dropped to one knee, and then, impossibly, he laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had pushed past pain into some other mental state entirely. "You feel nothing," Marcus said through broken teeth and split lips. His words were slurred but audible through the arena microphones. "That is your weakness." Corvin paused. Confused. "I have no weakness. I am optimized. Enhanced. Perfect." "You are a machine pretending to be alive," Marcus replied, forcing himself to his feet once more. "You do not feel pain, so you do not understand it. You do not fear damage because you can be repaired. But me? I am just meat and bone and stubbornness. And I have spent my entire life learning how to keep functioning when every nerve in my body is screaming at me to quit." He spit blood onto the arena floor. "You cannot break what has already been broken and put itself back together." Then Marcus did something that made my 4 hearts skip beats. He dropped his guard. Completely. Left himself wide open. "Come on then," he said. "Give me your best shot." One hit. Let us see who breaks first. The arena went insane. Screaming, cheering, roaring. This was either the bravest or stupidest thing I had ever witnessed. Corvin, for the first time in his career, hesitated. This was not normal fighter behavior. This was not tactics or strategy. This was something his programming had no answer for. "It hit me," Marcus shouted. "Or are you afraid that even your best will not be enough to make me quit?" Corvin hit him. A full-power straight punch directly to the solar plexus. The impact was visible even from my booth. The shock wave rippled through the air. Marcus doubled over. Collapsed to his knees. Vomited blood. Then he looked up at Corvin and smiled. "That all you got?" "This is insanity," this said. Beautiful, terrifying insanity. Corvin attacked again and again. Each strike would cripple a normal fighter. Each hit should end the match. But Marcus had stopped trying to defend, stopped trying to win in any conventional sense. He was doing something else entirely. He was proving a point. 15 minutes into the match, Corvin was slowing down, not from damage. He had taken almost no damage, but from uncertainty, from the psychological weight of hitting someone over and over and having them refuse to stay down. Marcus was barely standing, held together by willpower and whatever medical technology we could legally use between rounds. But he was standing. "You know what your problem is?" Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper but somehow carrying in the silent arena. "You fight like you have something to lose. I have already lost everything that matters. I am fighting with nothing but spite and a refusal to give up. You cannot beat that. You can only outlast it." He took one step forward, then another, moving like a zombie, but moving. "And I do not think you have the patience for that." Corvin looked at the referee, at his corner, at the crowd, and for the first time in his career I saw doubt in his mechanical eyes. The fight continued for another 7 minutes. 7 minutes of Marcus taking punishment that would kill most beings. 7 minutes of him refusing to quit. 7 minutes of Corvin's attacks becoming sloppier, more desperate, less certain. 22 minutes total. That is how long the match lasted before Corvin made his mistake. He overextended on a hook, put all his weight into it. Marcus, running on instinct and training that had become reflex, slipped the punch. Not by much. Just enough. And in that fraction of a second when Corvin was off balance, Marcus grabbed him. It was not a complex technique. It was not pretty. Marcus just wrapped his arms around Corvin's neck and squeezed. A guillotine choke. Basic, simple. Something you learn in your first month of grappling training. But here is the thing about chokes. They do not care how strong you are. They do not care how enhanced you are. Cut off blood flow to the brain, and consciousness fades. Biology is biology, even for cyborgs. Corvin tried to power out, tried to slam Marcus into the ground, tried everything. But Marcus held on with the grip of someone who had decided that releasing this hold would mean releasing everything he believed about himself. 15 seconds. 20 seconds. 30 seconds. Corvin's movements slowed, his enhanced systems fighting for oxygen that was not coming. 45 seconds. Corvin tapped 3 times on Marcus's shoulder, the universal signal of submission. The referee called the match. Marcus Webb had won. The human collapsed immediately. Did not celebrate. He did not raise his arms in victory. Just collapsed into a heap on the arena floor while the medical team rushed in. I sat in my booth, unable to speak, unable to process what I had just witnessed. He did it, this said, her voice filled with something I could only describe as awe. The crazy human actually did it. The crowd noise was deafening. The replay screens showed the final choke from multiple angles. The talking heads were already dissecting every moment of the match. But I just watched the medical team carefully load Marcus onto a stretcher, watched them rush him to the intensive care unit, watched and wondered if he would even survive to fight in the final. 3 hours later, I got my answer. Marcus Webb had suffered 4 broken ribs, a fractured orbital bone, severe internal bleeding, and a concussion that had the doctors very worried about brain swelling. He was in bad shape, critical, but stable. The final match was scheduled for 2 days from now, standard recovery period between semifinals and championship bout. There is no way he fights in 2 days, the chief medical officer told the press. His body has taken catastrophic damage. We can heal most of it with our technology, but recovery takes time. He needs at least 2 weeks, minimum. I went to see Marcus that evening. He was in a medical pod, suspended in regeneration gel, hooked up to more monitors than I could count. His eyes were open, aware. "You won," I said. "You can withdraw from the final." "No one would blame you. You have already proven your point." Marcus's voice came through the pod's communication system, weak but determined. "Who am I fighting?" "Does it matter?" "It matters." I sighed. Rax then, the juggernaut of Proxima Station, ranked first in the galaxy, undefeated in 47 consecutive matches. He has won this tournament 4 times. He is bigger than Corvin, faster than Scylla, more skilled than anyone you have faced. "Good," Marcus said. "I like a challenge." "You like pain, you mean?" "Maybe," he admitted. "But mostly I like proving that limits are just suggestions." The final match day arrived too quickly. The medical team had worked miracles. Marcus was cleared for competition, though the doctors made it clear they were doing so under extreme protest. His body had healed, but the cumulative damage from the entire tournament was staggering. He was held together by advanced medicine, stubborn refusal to quit, and what I was increasingly convinced was some form of human insanity. The arena was beyond capacity. Fire marshals looked the other way as beings packed into every available space. This was history. The human who fought with pain versus the greatest fighter in the galaxy. Rax then entered first. 4.2 meters tall, a Proximan, which meant he had evolved for a high-gravity world, dense bone structure, muscle fibers that contracted with explosive force, natural armor plating across his chest and shoulders. He looked like evolution's answer to the question, what if we made something just for fighting? Marcus entered second, and the contrast was absurd. He looked tiny, fragile, human. The crowd went wild. The referee gave the final instructions. Both fighters nodded. The bell rang. What happened in the next 18 minutes redefined my understanding of what determination means. Rax then was everything his reputation promised. Fast, powerful, technical, and ruthless. His opening combination backed Marcus to the barrier in seconds. A knee strike to the body folded Marcus. An elbow to the head dropped him. Marcus got up. Again and again and again, Rax put Marcus down. And every single time, Marcus stood back up. But something was different this time. Marcus was not just absorbing damage, he was learning, adapting. Every time Rax threw a combination, Marcus's defense got fractionally better. Every time he got hit, his counterattack came faster. He is downloading Rax's patterns, Thus said, incredulous, in real time. During the fight, she was right. Marcus was using pain as information. Every hit told him something about Rax's timing, his reach, his preferences. And his brain, trained through weeks of pain simulation, was processing that information without being overwhelmed by the agony of taking those hits. 10 minutes in, Marcus landed his first clean strike. A jab that snapped Rax's head back. It did not hurt the Proximan much, but it proved something. Marcus could hit him. 12 minutes in, Marcus landed a combination. Jab, cross, hook. Rax blocked most of it, but not all. 15 minutes in, they were trading shots. Real exchanges. Marcus taking 3 hits to land 1, but his one hit was always targeted at vulnerable points. Eyes, throat, joints. 17 minutes in, Rax made his mistake. He underestimated Marcus's ability to keep functioning. Threw a lazy jab, expecting Marcus to be too tired to capitalize. Marcus slipped it, stepped in close, and threw everything he had left into an uppercut that caught Rax directly under the chin. The Proximan staggered. Actually staggered. For the first time in 4 tournament victories, Rax then looked hurt. The crowd lost their collective minds. Marcus did not let up. Could not let up. He knew this was his only chance. He threw punch after punch after punch. No technique, no strategy, just raw aggression fueled by every ounce of pain he had endured to get here. Rax tried to cover up, tried to create space. But Marcus was inside his guard, hitting him with short, brutal strikes that accumulated damage faster than the Proximan could process. 18 minutes and 43 seconds into the match, Marcus landed a hook to the liver that made Rax's legs buckle. The Proximan dropped to one knee. The referee began the count. 1, 2, 3. Rax tried to stand, made it halfway up. 4, 5, 6. His legs gave out. Collapsed back to the mat. 7, 8, 9. Rax looked at the referee, at Marcus, and shook his head. He could not continue. 10. The bell rang. Marcus Webb had won the Galactic Combat Federation Championship. The human stood in the center of the arena, bleeding, broken, barely conscious. And he had won. I do not remember what I said during the broadcast in that moment. The recordings show me making sounds that might have been words, but I have no memory of them. I was too busy watching history happen. Marcus did not celebrate. He turned to Rax, who was still on his knees, and offered his hand. The Proximan looked at it for a long moment, then accepted. Marcus helped him to his feet. "You are the toughest opponent I have ever faced," Rax said, his deep voice carrying across the arena. "How did you withstand so much damage?" Marcus smiled through broken teeth. "I did not train to beat you. I trained to be unbreakable. Turns out when you cannot be broken, you can accomplish impossible things." The awards ceremony was a blur. The GCF commissioner presented Marcus with the championship trophy. Speeches were made. Cameras flashed. But I was not watching any of that. I was watching Marcus's face, looking for triumph, for pride, for satisfaction. What I saw instead was peace. The peace of someone who had proven something to himself that he needed to prove. Later that night, after the crowds had dispersed and the arena had emptied, I found Marcus sitting alone in the locker room. The trophy sat beside him, largely ignored. "So," I said, settling onto a bench, "how does it feel? Being the champion?" Marcus considered the question. Honestly? The trophy does not matter much. What matters is that I did what I set out to do. I proved that I could take whatever the universe threw at me and keep going. That is enough. What now? I asked. Defend your title next cycle? He laughed. Are you kidding? My body needs about 6 months to fully recover from this. Maybe I will fight again. Maybe not, but I accomplished what I needed to. Which was? To prove that being human is not a weakness, Marcus said. We are not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most advanced. But we have something that cannot be measured in statistics or combat metrics. We have the ability to endure, to suffer and keep going, to decide that pain is just information and we do not have to obey it. He stood up, groaning as various injuries made themselves known. Every species in the galaxy has advantages. But humans, our advantage is that we are too stupid to know when we are beaten. And sometimes that is enough. I watched him limp toward the exit, championship trophy tucked under one arm. Marcus, I called after him. For what it is worth, I do not think it is stupidity. He turned back, curious. I think it is courage, I said. The courage to look at impossible odds and decide they do not apply to you. But that is not stupidity. That is the most dangerous thing a species can have. Marcus grinned. Maybe you are right. Or maybe we are just really good at lying to ourselves about what is possible. Either way, it works. He left, and I sat there in the empty locker room, thinking about everything I had witnessed over the past week. Humans had been underestimated, written off as mid-tier combatants with nothing special to offer. But Marcus Webb had shown us something we had all missed. Humans do not train for victory. They train for endurance. They train to take damage and keep functioning. They train to override every survival instinct their biology provides and push forward anyway. But that is terrifying. That is admirable. That is human. 3 months later, I was reviewing footage for the next tournament cycle when I received a message from Marcus. It's just a simple text communication. Thanks for believing in me when no one else did. And for the record, you were right. It was not about winning. It was about proving I could take the pain and keep going. This mission accomplished. See you next cycle if my body forgives me. I smiled, saved the message, and made a note in my files. Never underestimate a human who has decided that pain is just noise and quitting is not an option, because they will find a way to do the impossible, even if it means breaking themselves in the process. And sometimes, watching someone refuse to break? That is the most inspiring thing in the galaxy.